Thank you so much. So as I said a million times already, I'm super excited to be here and tell you guys about social media because I honestly, truly believe that for nonprofits, this is just a place where you can really excel. People really do want to engage with nonprofit organizations online. And this is, meant to be a very interactive educational experience. So actually want to, based off some questions in the bar, I want to start by making sure you guys all have a Twitter account, that you can log into Twitter and that you can maybe send your first tweet, if not your 100th tweet today. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Definitely write in the questions there if you can't. But what we're going to do is, I just brought up here, you're going to go to twitter.com. And you're going to be able to see a little button that says sign up if you don't have a Twitter account. It's pretty easy. You're just going to put your name and your email, and you're going to choose what is going to be your Twitter handle. So as you saw on my webinar slides, mine is @NicoleCruz, just my name. You could do it at your business organization's name, or your nonprofit organization's name. You could do it kind of anything random. So some names may be taken if you have sort of a more common name, but you're going to create your Twitter handle, and then you're going to be all set to go. And then there's also a question just sort of about, okay, what do I do once I'm in Twitter? So I'm going to log in here and kind of just show you how to compose a tweet really fast. So you're just going to press this button here that says tweet, and you're going to be able to write a tweet. So I'll write a tweet here. Can't wait to share lots of social media knowledge with @grassroots. So the @ is how you can tag someone else. Members. And then I'm going to do the little hashtag likeable webinar. And so then I'm going to tweet that here. Now you see I can click on the hashtag likeable webinar, and actually what's going to show up is all of the different people who've tweeted with this hashtag. You can either go top, which are the top people tweeting recently, or live, which will be in real time who's tweeting with this hashtag. So looks like we have some people tweeting already 4 minutes, 5 minutes ago. There's one I did a couple minutes ago. Likeable Local, I hope you guys will follow us on Twitter. We're going to be tweeting alongside with you, and favoriting your tweets and sharing lots of information. So I hope that was, kind of a good little basis as well. And then another thing we're going to be talking about today is, some tools that you can use to better use social media for your nonprofit, be a little bit more efficient with your efforts. And one of those tools is actually Likeable Locals to a Likeable Hub, which you can sign up for free, which is great. And if all goes well today, we're going to continue to do some ongoing education and training for grassroots members who are using Likeable Hub to help make sure you take advantage of it. So the way you do that, I'm actually already logged into Likeable Hub, so I'm going to log out here and show you how to make a new account. But if you just go to likeablehub.com, you'll be able to here sign up with Facebook or sign up with email. It's free for 30 days, and then it's actually only $19.99 in a month to continue, and it has a ton of really cool features I'll talk about. But it would be great to sort of get started. It's just very easy. You can sign up with an email or with a Facebook right away. So I encourage you guys to take a minute either now, during the webinar, later, to go to likeablehub.com and actually make that free account, which will be really cool.
I think this is an important question quickly, because we're asking people to create Twitter accounts if they want to. But in the quickness, they might choose a Twitter handle that they're not necessarily happy with, or they want to change it down the line. Bonnie asked, once I've created a handle, can I change it? The answer is yes. What you do is you visit your account settings page. You'll find that on the top right-hand corner of the page, and you go down. You can change your username in the username field. Again, what Nicole said is the one that you might change might be already taken, so you'll have to choose a different one.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of customization you can do. You can change the handle. You can change the name, and then of course you want to have a description and a cover photo, and a profile picture for your Twitter account. So there's a lot of similarities, sort of to a Facebook business page if you guys have those. And and we'll be talking about some tips for ongoing maintenance, and what kind of things you can post and how frequently you might want to post, and what tools can help you post throughout the webinar today. So definitely, we're going to have a dedicated Q&A session at the
Mhm.
end, but if you just think of something on the cusp you don't want to forget, throw it in the question bar, and maybe we can even address it right there on the spot. So that's sort of just some housekeeping items, remembering to tweet, remembering to set up a Likeable Hub account, and to ask questions. So without further ado, let's jump into some awesome social media 101 stuff. So I want to start just with some statistics. These are some of my favorite stats. And we're not going to get too deep into these, but the point is I just really want to explain the value of social media, because sometimes we wonder, social media is a relatively new form of marketing. 15 years ago, there weren't people who said their profession was social media necessarily. And Likeable Local has really been at the forefront of the social media space for small businesses. And we get this question all of the time. Why do I need to be on social media? I've been doing radio and newspaper and just word of mouth forever. And the point, the fact is there's just so many people that are using social media today. The opportunity is huge, and it's a way for you to better and more scalably connect with lots of different people. So here's just the raw numbers, right? 144 billion monthly active Facebook users. That is so huge. If you think about the place where you're most likely to reach target volunteers, target donors, people who care about your organization, they're probably on Facebook. That's where they're spending time. You can get really targeted there. And maybe down the road in a more advanced session, we can talk a little bit more about some of the targeting options that are available on social media sites. But there's really just so much potential, especially in Facebook. He's one of the giants. There's also, over 300 million people who are monthly active on Twitter. That's growing and growing, and some of you guys maybe made your first Twitter account today. You're helping contribute to that. Same with LinkedIn and Pinterest and Instagram. Combined total with all the social networks, there is a ton of potential to reach the right people. And 58% of all adults have social media accounts. So, this really kind of debunks the myth that social media is all the kids in college, it's just teenagers. No, really, a lot of adults are jumping on the social media bandwagon. Actually, truth be told, my grandparents have a social media account, and they like all my stuff. They're super active. So that's just it's really a generational shift, and folks of all ages are really using Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And then just, some things about the benefits. So we know people are on there, but what's really interesting is that 71% of people actually trust products and services they find on Facebook. They'll have an actual trust for those products and services because they saw them on social media. And one of the reasons that we'll talk about for this, and the same goes for, for an organization and a cause, people trust what their friends share. And the fact that social networks are really a place where friends are sharing information and likes and dislikes back and forth makes it that all the friends of the friends are really able to see in a bigger way what each other likes. And so when you get a group or a person sharing about your organization, about your cause, all of their friends are going to see it, and they're going to feel a connection to it, and they're going to trust it because they saw it as something that their friend who they trust shared. So you're really able to get that friend endorsement and that word of mouth connection on a little bit more viral level on social media. And then, 77% of consumers trust recommendations from both families and friends. To that last point, you're able to have a little bit bigger, faster way of driving recommendations from family and friends. You should donate to this organization. This is a cause I believe in. Contribute today. Families and friends have a platform now to share that sort of thing and to help further your cause, and for you to, put yourself out there and to allow them to do that. So that's really, kind of setting the stage in terms of the benefit. Now let's take this a little bit deeper. This is a fact. The average Facebook user has a network of about 350 people. Now this is an average, keep in mind, right? So there are people like myself who my job is social media, and I have thousands of friends on Facebook. But then there's some people who maybe are just getting started, or they don't care to have a super large network, and they have maybe two friends on Facebook, maybe five. So this is an average, right? But the average Facebook user has 350 people, right? So this is them, this is their network. So what does that mean? That means that one like to your page is actually giving you access to 350 other people. It's creating a network, it's creating a web, and it's able to extrapolate really, really fast. So if you're getting one like, it's kind of like that person is recommending you to 350 of their friends. Because remember, I can see all the pages that my friends like on Facebook. And I can see who they follow. And Twitter suggests me accounts to follow based on what my friends have also followed. So by increasing your network and by getting the right people to engage with your page, you're actually going to, it's basically like they're recommending you to their entire network. So one like, can equal 350 recommendations, which is so huge, and that's not something you could really do with kind of old forms of marketing, like radio or a newspaper or something like that. So with that in mind, hopefully we're thinking, okay, this is really something I need to jump on board with. Let's talk about 7 ways to succeed with social as a nonprofit. And these are really just starting points, but I want to give you guys some actionable things you can take away today, and feel like you know where to start. So speaking of knowing where to start, my first tip is to choose the best channels for your business. Now, there are a lot of social media outlets out there. There's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's Pinterest, there's Google+, there's Instagram, there's SlideShare. I could go on. It seems like a new one is popping up every day. But my advice to you is to focus, because it's better to do just 2 or 3 or even 1 really well than to spread your wings too far, not keep up, not be active, be on a platform that's not really perfect for you, and so if you have a lot of really great visual content, for example, Pinterest might be a great place for you. But if your organization doesn't really have a ton of visual content, maybe Pinterest and Instagram are not the best fit. But what I would suggest for everyone is get on Facebook, a Facebook business page. Facebook is really kind of the giant in the social networking space. It was really the first. It was the pioneer, and start there. Twitter is also a really big one, and so if you're just going to focus on 2, I would go with Facebook and Twitter, but do try to focus in, and the number of channels you can tackle might really depend on on how many resources you have to manage them, what kind of tools you're using, how much staff do you have dedicated to this. So the second way that you can really use social media to grow, and to drive more awareness towards your cause, is to get the word out. So you want to use social as a platform to sort of just tell people about your cause and what you're doing. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. This is a screenshot of Freehold Animal Shelter, who's actually running an advertisement on Facebook to get people to like their post. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get the word out. You can definitely put posts on all the different social networks, but you can also advertise. And I would really suggest that you advertise. There's something called a boosted post on Facebook. It's actually the simplest form of advertising, but this allows you to get your organization in front, guaranteed to be in front of more people, get more reach, gain more likes, gain more engagements, because without advertising on Facebook, without investing a little bit into these Facebook ad dollars, you're actually not going to get a ton of reach. So first of all, first tip would be definitely to start posting and start sharing about your cause. And the second would be to actually advertise those posts. Use Facebook advertising to make sure that you can tell people about that. And similarly on Twitter, join different hashtags of initiatives that are going on in your industry. So you're tweeting with the hashtag likeable webinar today, but maybe there's something that's going on, in relation to the cause you support, and there's a hashtag. Join that conversation because other people are talking about it, and it will really, really allow you, to engage with more people who are interested in your cause. Using social media and finding a way to get the word out to as many people as possible is one of the huge benefits of social as a nonprofit. One of the third things you can do is listen and respond. So listening, we'll talk about some ways to listen on Twitter, and I'll probably take some detailed questions on this. But what's awesome is it's kind of like you have these crazy ears, right, where you can actually see what everyone is talking about on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can find people who are, if you're I'm trying to think of, let's see some of the causes that that some of you guys are working for here. Let's see. One of you guys here is Samantha. Global Hope India is your organization. If you want to see people who are talking about Global Hope India online, you can actually search on Twitter, Global Hope India, or hashtag Global Hope India, or something in relation to whatever you represent, and you can see all of the people on Twitter who have ever tweeted about that, who are currently talking about that, who are talking about something similar. So you definitely can listen sort of proactively to conversations, but then you can also listen, just actively to the people who are literally writing on your wall. This is a screenshot of someone who, who's writing about the specific organization, and look, if they were listening, they saw she wrote and they commented back. And that's your chance to show your expertise. That's your chance to say thank you, to show gratitude. So when anyone is commenting to you, you absolutely want to make sure that you're interacting back, because that gives them a reason to continue commenting. That gives them a reason to continue interacting with you as an organization. So definitely make sure you're, number one, listening to all the things that are being said about you or about your industry online, and just as importantly, responding, showing that you saw it and showing that you heard. The fourth thing is to find and engage with influencers to help spread the word and support you. And one of the really important things here to think about is ask yourself these questions. Who are some influencers in our industry, in our space, who it would just be so amazing if they shared about us, if they were the supporter? And lots of celebrities jump behind different causes, and some niche markets have really sort of niche influencers that are talking about them. Find and identify those people and get them to engage with you on social media, or reach out to them on social media. So this is actually an example. Our CEO, Dave Kerpen, he's kind of a thought leader in the social media space. He literally wrote the book on social media, which definitely stay tuned till the end, because I'm going to be giving away a copy of it, which is so exciting. But he wrote in a LinkedIn article that if someone proactively reached out to him on social media and asked if he would donate, if he was interested in donating to them, that he would. And look, at the KR Cancer Foundation was listening. They saw this post and they practically reached out to him. And he was able to donate to them. And so that's an example of an organization identifying an influencer and reaching out to them and getting a donation there. And similarly, this woman, Linda, who enjoyed the article about, social media and reached out to Dave. And so first identify the influencers and then use social media to reach them, because you'll actually have great luck getting in touch with some of these people if you tweet at them. Because believe it or not, everyone's email inboxes are getting a little cluttered these days. So sometimes you need a more innovative way to reach people. And social media is really just that. All right. So really the next piece is to share content that makes you the expert. So this is your chance to show how you guys are innovating in the specific space that you're in. So share content that shows that you're up sort of on the news in the space. Let people want to follow you because you're a source of news for them, right? So if I really care about a certain cause and I want to make sure I'm up to date on it, I want to know that you're the organization to go to because you care about that cause as well, and I can get news from you on an ongoing basis about it. So here's some examples of organizations sharing, sharing content that really makes them look like the expert. And you know what? Here's something that should relieve a little bit of stress from you. Don't feel like you have to always be creating the content, right? So you don't need to be writing 6 blog posts a week about this content. You can curate from other credible sources, and that's an asset in itself. If you know all of the best news outlets and different people who write about your industry and write about your cause, curate that content and then share it out with your channel or retweet it or reshare it from someone else's page, because that still establishes you as the expert, as someone people can go to find out about that awesome content. The next piece is really to share stories. So, there's the whole thing in writing, everyone's writing professor in high school and college probably said show don't tell, and really the same is true with social media. You don't want to tell people what you're doing or just tell people about your next event or tell people to donate or volunteer. You want to share a story that inspires them to want to take those actions. So in whatever way you can sort of frame your cause in terms of a story is super helpful. So this is an example, of sharing a way that a cause did an outreach event and turning it more into a story than into just like, here's what we did, but make an event out of it. Make a really a larger initiative. Talk about the implications. Share quotes. Share quotes and videos about how you've helped people. Any visual way that you can kind of turn a story alive is going to be really helpful. So using images is going to be great. Using videos, using quotes, all of those things can be really great tools to make sure that you're storytelling better. And then use tools to help. So don't feel like you really need to do this alone. So I put the link to Likeable Hub here again. So a tool is going to help you not feel like social media is this big chore. What am I going to post today? How many times do I have to post? Where am I going to get contact inquiries? How will I make sure that people see my posts? There are so many tools that can help you with that. Likeable Hub specifically helps you share stories and generate referrals and manage your reputation and amplify your reach and do all of these really cool things all sort of in one place. It gives you content ideas and whatnot. So, there are some other tools, that are really helpful as well that I can share too. But, definitely don't try to do this on your own. Use a tool to help. It's really powerful. So I want to leave lots and lots of room for questions, but I first wanted to give you, I know some of you probably went to that Likeable Hub site and had a couple of questions about it, so I want to run through some of the functionality. So this is our brand new app at Likeable Local, and we're so proud to be partnered with grassroots.org so we can better help nonprofits grow. And Likeable Hub is actually free, and then there's a free forever version, and then there's a business version for just $20. But it's really something that we want to make affordable for anyone so that you can access your success on social media. It doesn't have to be hard. So we have a really easy dashboard that you can access from your phone or from the computer. We actually have a way to make sure that your posts get reach both on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. We call it Turbo Post technology. We also have thousands of content ideas. I think this is probably my favorite thing ever. But let's say you're like, oh, what am I going to post today? Because consistency is key. You want to make sure that you're consistently posting on social media, but sometimes it's hard to think of what to post. So we actually have thousands of different content ideas that are built in that you can just choose and you can post. And we have trending news articles. We actually have a tag for nonprofit specific news articles that you could share. And they're just here, and you can just in one click, you can go out there and you can start sharing this content. We also have this Likeable Hub site here, sort of a screenshot, but you can build little landing pages to help with any initiatives you're doing. Maybe you want people to refer a friend. Maybe you want people to contact you. If your site is not mobile optimized, this is really huge. So this is all included. You can, build this likable hub site. You can start connecting with people in a mobile basis, and you can generate business leads and referrals and that sort of a thing. And then here are just some of the things people have said. It's made managing their social much easier, and it's been a great way to sort of scale. And then of course, one of our perks for you as a grassroots member is, as a Likeable Hub user, we want to make sure that you have the best experience possible and that you can continue to grow and become educated on social media. So we're going to be providing ongoing training and education beyond this webinar on social media best practices, on best practices with Likeable Hub, VIP, and whatnot. And we're going to continue to do this on an ongoing basis. Ben and I are really committed to doing this for you. So that's something we just want to make sure you know, is that at Likeable Local, we're we're definitely here to help you on your social media journey. So we'll have that ongoing training and education. So likeablehub.com is where you can kind of get set up. So I want to just dive into all of the questions here about social media, about about Likeable Hub, about Twitter, anything like that. And then we'll do sort of the grand prize at the end. I'm going to be giving away the Likeable Social Media book to one lucky tweeter. So we can start with some of some of the questions that were maybe shared prior to today, or we can start with some of the ones in the question bar and continue putting them in there.
Sure. One thing before going on, I felt it was very important what you said about the social proof concept, where you'll have friends who will post something, and people that see this are much more likely to act upon it. I think that is a remarkable idea. There's so many things that you said, Nicole, that were very valuable in here, but that's one that just sticks out in my mind. I really want people to cue on that and get kind of some ideas on how to strategize around the fact that if you have friends posting or retweeting something or liking it, their reach, their friends, their followers, whatever it might be on whatever channel, are much more likely to act upon that. And I think there's just many different strategies that nonprofits can utilize that. I mean, it's got practicalities in different studies. So this is a really powerful concept. But that being said, let's get right into the questions. I don't want to go on. I think there was just so many wonderful things that you said. We have one person who asked a question prior to the webinar and who's asked it again, Bonnie Forsyth. She doesn't have a microphone, so I'll read it out loud for you, Nicole, and we can go into it, and then we'll continue to move on. If people have questions going forward, keep on asking them in the chat. But one thing is, a lot of our organizations are localized, so they'll have need to reach people in their communities. Our first question about prior to the webinar was, how do we reach people in our local community? I feel it's a great question. So if you could field that one first, Nicole.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the greatest things about social media is that it has so many local possibilities, right? So I say this kind of just as a joke, but when you sign up for Facebook, it's kind of like selling your soul, right? So they know literally everything about you, which can be terrifying, but from a marketing perspective, it is awesome. So, think about what Facebook knows about me. They know where I live, they know where I used to live, they know what I do, they know what kind of pages I like, they know who my friends are, they know where I went to college, they know everything. So they know where I am locally at any time. So some of the possibilities with Facebook advertising and Facebook targeting is that you can target people who are in your local area. You can target people who have interests in specific things. When you're on Twitter, you can join conversations of people who have specific words in their bio, where they live, or who have liked specific pages, or who often tweet about a specific string of words. So there's a lot of things you can do to kind of identify the users out there on social media who are in your local area, which is, which is a kind of one of the greatest assets for you in terms of reaching those people. So I'd say kind of playing around with some of the targeting is one of the best ways to locally to reach more local people. And then additionally, just making sure that your profiles really display that if you're trying to reach people locally, really display in your social media profiles and your descriptions where you are and that you are a local business and that you're proud to be a local business of X place, because just the more transparent you can be about your localness, people will resonate more with it, and they'll want to follow you more there. And then the last thing I just remembered as well is using local hashtags. So if there's any hashtag that is specific to your area, then you definitely want to be using that. I know, for example, when we're sort of tweeting anything New York City based, we'll always use a hashtag NYC, so that's kind of a big one, but there's definitely some more niche local hashtags that people use pretty well as well.
For the second question, we'll get right back to your second question, Bonnie, but I want to move on just to make sure everybody feels that they are able to participate. The second question comes from Don Obar. I'm going to unmute. Are you there, Don? Can you hear us, Don?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay. Well, I will. I'll read your question out for you. If you can, if you're able to talk later on, I'll unmute you again. But Don asks, we have a new partner that is going to distribute our solar lights. How can we highlight them on Twitter or Facebook, Nicole?
Yeah, so if you have a new partner that you want to highlight, Facebook is a great place, and Twitter, to give shout outs. So one of the things that partners, customers, volunteers, anyone appreciates more than anything is just public recognition. That's kind of just in our human nature. So social media is an excellent way to drive public recognition. So first what I would do is I would recommend absolutely making a post announcing how excited you are about the partnership. Definitely tagging them if they have a business page. When you're posting on Facebook as a business page, you can tag other business pages. So make sure you tag them so they see they've been tagged. See if you can do any sort of pictures or with them together. Visual content is always really well received. Maybe you want to do a little video or something like that. Video content is really up and coming, sort of in the social media space today. And do the same on Twitter. Tag them that you're so excited about it. Have your staff share and retweet. Have people who are close to the organization who you know are willing to do a lot of sharing. That will really make them feel loved. If they have this dedicated post and then they have all these people sharing about it, that's one of the best ways to sort of show credibility and make people feel welcome as part of your organization's community. So I would definitely recommend sort of just putting the feelers out there right away, and then sort of in a ongoing sense, seeing how you can continue to provide value for them on social media. Maybe your partner writes some good content. Can you share some of their content as well? So figuring out ways that you can continue to nurture the relationship and continue to shout out that partner on social, not just at the time of launch.
Perfect. She asks a quick follow-up question. How do we tag?
Okay. So tagging is that little @ symbol that I did on Twitter. You're going to want to do the @ symbol, and then on Facebook, once you start typing the business's name, their page should come up. So I can show a quick example if you guys want. I can pull up my Facebook. But yeah, and actually what's interesting about the Facebook tagging is you can like do spaces. So our Facebook page is at Likeable Local, but there's a space, Likeable space local, because that's how, you know, we spell our business name on Facebook. But on Twitter, it's Likeable Local, all one word. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're tagging on Facebook. There may be spaces, but that's okay. The business should pop up as something you can select and click, and then it will be hyperlinked.
Great. We'll go right back to Bonnie's second question. And she said, I co-founded a small local fundraising nonprofit, but with a full-time job. I don't have a lot of time to devote to social media. What are the top three free things we can do that would have the most benefit?
Yeah, so not having time and resources to dedicate to social media is such a common challenge. And you know, you have so many things going on, and so it's very understandable that you wouldn't have a whole team and so many hours in each day to dedicate to social media. So my biggest suggestion is to use some tools to make your life easier. So obviously we're a big proponent of Likeable Hub because it allows you to actually schedule things in the future. And I think that, and there's some other apps like Hootsuite, for example, that has this specific functionality too. But if you can spend just 1 hour per week, maybe even 30 minutes, and you can plan out 15 social posts on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, you know, just all different ones, or some similar ones on different channels, and you can sit there for just one chunk of time and you can plan them out all for the rest of the week. That is so much more efficient than every day you having to log in and think, okay, what am I going to do at what time? I wanted to post at 2 p.m., but I have a meeting at 2 p.m. I'm not available. But if you can, on Sunday night, for example, you can schedule all of your social media for the rest of the week. That can be a really helpful tool. Additionally, on Twitter, something that is interesting to note is that the amount of time that a tweet lives in your news feed, which is just kind of like the home screen, is only about 20 minutes. So if you repeat the same tweet more than once, chances are not that many people are going to see it that are the same the second time. So basically, you're going to have a different audience every time that tweet is repeated because, you know, Twitter users are online at different times of the day. So what we've actually built into Likeable Hub and what we suggest, regardless of how you do it, is that you repeat your tweets. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you have a really good tweet, repeat it a couple times, just, you know, at different times. So that, you know, that's a built-in feature of the Likeable Hub. And also, you know, also just, you know, finding good content that you can share. Like I said, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you know some people who've written a great article, share that article instead of having to go write that article yourself or something similar. Share great content from third-party sources and sort of curate that way. So good ways to save time, just to recap, are to use tools, to repeat good content, and to curate content from other places. And then the last thing I would add to that is to use mobile apps. So, you know, understandably, you might be running around. So Facebook has a mobile app, Twitter has a mobile app, Likeable Hub has a mobile app. So you can kind of manage things on the go from your phone, which can be a real time saver.
Just before we go into the next question, I see some people are raising hands. We're not, you know, we're not necessarily sure if you're raising hands because you have a question or if you're just testing out the features. We do take questions through the questions pane just so we don't, you know, interrupt the flow of the webinar. But the next question is another one that came prior to the webinar, and this is from Mary Kennedy. Mary's not here, I don't believe, so I'll read it out loud. And this is an opinion one for you, Nicole,
Sure.
but I think it's a good question. Heard on another social media webinar that Google Plus is on the way out. Is this true?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, and it kind of depends on what you mean by the way out. But what I will say about Google Plus, despite Google's best efforts, not that many people have a daily, like, human behavior of going in and checking their Google Plus account and posting on Google Plus. People just aren't regular users of Google Plus like they are Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. You know, if you see the numbers, who's logging into Google Plus on a daily basis, it's pretty small. And so people tend to be less active. So what that means for you is you don't need to worry about posting everything on Google Plus, being current on Google Plus. What you do need to worry about, though, is having a presence itself on Google Plus, just building a Google Plus profile for your organization, having it be up to date with the right location, with the right address, with the right phone number. And the reason for that is that Google, who kind of sort of runs the world in terms of search,
Yes.
they really would like you to have a Google Plus profile. And by having one, you'll do yourself a favor with something that's called SEO, which is search engine optimization. So by having a Google Plus profile, you will make yourself a lot more searchable as an organization. But trust me, you don't need to continually worry about having to update it, because that's not necessarily going to help your SEO any more than just building it, and it's not going to necessarily help you reach a much bigger audience. So my advice in terms of Google Plus, and sort of in response to this question, yes, it's kind of on the outs in terms of a platform that people really care about keeping up to date, but no, it's not irrelevant in terms of its implications for your searchability. So I would absolutely create a Google Plus profile, make sure everything is accurate, it has a nice picture, you actually operate out of the address that you say, and then you can kind of leave it alone. So that's my advice in terms of Google Plus.
Great. The next question is from someone who's here, so I'm going to quickly unmute them. And it comes from Alicia Moore. Alicia, are you there? Might not be here, but I will read out the question, and if Alicia is able to speak, we'll allow her to stay unmuted if she has any follow-ups. Or Alicia, you can put them into the question pane if you do have one. Okay, great. She does not have a microphone, but she asks, how important or how much time would you recommend devoting to Google AdWords for nonprofits?
Interesting. So Google AdWords, for those of you who might not be familiar, is actually the advertising platform on Google. So if you guys have ever Googled something and you see like the two top listings, they sort of have like this, they're in like a separate little section, and they say sort of like ad really small, but they're the very first two. People are actually paying for their business to be there. And the way that you get your business up there is through Google AdWords. So for some keywords that are really, really popular, Google AdWords is going to be pretty expensive. But you can get a good result without too much spend if you're not going for super competitive keywords, or if you really have a very sophisticated someone on your staff who knows how to run it. So definitely kudos, Alicia, for diving into Google AdWords, because it is pretty some pretty advanced stuff. In terms of time, the thing with Google, this is one of those questions where I have to say it depends. But the thing with Google AdWords is you can spend a lot if you're not keeping an eye on it. So actually, we learned from experience here at Likeable Local. I'll just share an anecdote. We were running a Google AdWords campaign, and we had a variety of different keywords that we were testing to see which would be the most effective. And we actually let it be for a little bit too long without checking into it, and we noticed that some of the keywords were converting at an all right rate, and some of them were converting at a ridiculously expensive rate, and we should have turned them off days ago, but we didn't, and we ended up spending a bunch of money that we shouldn't have because we weren't more proactive. So, until you feel really confident with your campaigns, I would suggest that you're pretty frequently checking in on your Google AdWords several times a week, and to make sure that everything is optimized correctly. But then once it's not a super huge time suck, except for sort of the setup process. So you will need to invest a good chunk of time to get things set up correctly, and then some time monitoring it as you're off the ground. But then once you're kind of plugging and playing with Google AdWords, you just kind of need to do a weekly routine check, maybe an hour or two, to make sure that everything is great, but you don't need to be spending a super significant amount of time.
And just one thing to add, if other people don't know, Google is very kind to nonprofits, and they do have an in-kind donation of $10,000 for Google AdWords. So there's kind of a no risk proposition if people aren't utilizing
Ah,
Google AdWords, that you can kind of get involved with it and start learning it. That's the best way to start, is to practice with it.
well,
And
that's wonderful.
yeah, that'll give you some knowledge. And to find that, it's just google.com/grants if you want to find information about the Google AdWords grant. The next question comes from Dr. Ambrose David. I do not believe he is on this webinar, but we'll read it because there is a recording going out, of course. And he asks about raising funds and to find donors for his service. I'm not quite sure what his service is, but do you have any recommendations for fundraising through social, Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I would suggest in terms of fundraising through social is sort of along the lines with that storytelling that I talked about earlier. You never just want to like ask. Because you're not going to get as great of a return as if you connect it to a certain story or to a certain child or individual or person or animal or whoever who is connected to the cause. So I would definitely first connect it to something that can elicit an emotional response from people, because you're going to really get the best return there. So that would be one. And then to whatever extent you can maybe gamify it, or make it fun for people, or have people track your progress with fundraising if it's sort of similar to like a Kickstarter or something like that. People really resonate with sort of a gamified environment when it comes to fundraising. When it comes to social media in general. So yeah, my two pieces of advice would be gamify if possible, and make sure it's connected to a story versus sort of just an outward ask.
Do you want to give a brief description or example of what gamification is?
Yeah, sure. So gamification, it can be manifested in lots of different ways, but like I'll give an example of something internally of how we sort of gamified a challenge. So with the launch of our new app, Lakeable Hub, we have sort of all of our employees internally incentivized and sort of gamified to share. And to promote users, and we've done this with other product launches, ebooks or anything like that. So we basically have gotten a group of people really excited, all working towards a mutual goal, and of course the person who sources the most or wins or whatnot will get a prize. So to whatever extent you can gamify fundraising in a very legal way, of course, and it can even be just you're invited to our dinner, or you get a plaque on our wall or something like that. But if you can give people, make it sort of a game or sort of a challenge for your fans to want to interact with you, that'll be sort of an extra incentive.
And you bring up the question of legal, and I don't remember all of the legalities on Facebook, but there is something on their terms of service that talk about how you promote something. I don't think many people are going to run into their terms of service problems, but if you're interested, I think it's on either their terms of service policy or somewhere on their site. So you might want to look that up. But again, I don't think
Exactly.
many
Yeah.
nonprofits are going to run into that issue.
Yes, rule of thumb to remember is never offer people money for doing X for you. That's pretty much always a no. So definitely, and for most industries, so what is legal is telling someone they have a chance to win X, but you can never basically say do this and we'll give you this amount of dollars. But you could say, we're giving one lucky person who does such and such, we'll be doing a drawing for something like that. So doing sort of like a grand prize drawing is okay, but doing one for one sort of like money giveaways is not.
Right, absolutely. Well, right now I don't see any other questions, but before we wrap up, if anybody has any last questions, we're going to take them. But before then, we're going to give the chance for kind of a wrap up. And again, the grand prize, which you can see on the screen right now, which is very exciting. So why don't you go ahead with that, and we'll take any last questions after that.
Okay, last chance for any last minute tweets, and then I'm going to pick the third tweet down on my screen for our winner.
This is like the radio
And
broadcast.
dun dun dun.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's going to be the winner is with humble hearts. Yay! Clap for you. We're gonna direct message you on Twitter, so definitely be looking out for that. We're gonna ask for your address with humble hearts, and we're going to be sending you a signed copy of Likeable Social Media, a New York Times best-selling book. So that Dave Crippen wrote. So look out for that, and we'll be sending that your way. And again, feel free to interact with me on Twitter or via email. My information is here. If you have any questions at all, I'll be more than happy to answer them and help.
And to have a little bit of that social proof concept, I've read Dave Kirpin's Likeable Business. I have it in my office. I love that book, so I think you'll enjoy it. Also, why don't you just quickly explain what a DM, because DMs have like a little bit of um, a need to like follow people back, so people understand
Right.
what a DM is or a direct message.
Yes, a direct message there's a separate tab sort of on Twitter for just messages, and so it's not actually a tweet, but it's sort of a private message. And so in order to message someone, you guys both have to be following each other. So that will need to happen, and then we'll be able to send you a message and get your address and send you the book.
Great. I don't see any last questions. So I think it's a good point to wrap it up here. Nicole, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this webinar. I can't wait to edit it down and send it out. It won't be too heavily edited because I think there was just tons of value.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad I could be here. And again, feel free to follow up with any questions. And we'll be sending around a little follow-up email with the link to Likeable Hub. And feel free to reach out, if you need any suggestions or help on using it or anything else in the social media realm.
Yeah, it's a great value there as well. So and thank you to everybody who attended. We hope you come out to the next one.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.